Is this the end of Daniel Bryan and the WWE? Maybe. I'm Chris Wolvie, the wrestling vlog who always tells it like it is. Daniel Bryan has been a force in the WWE since coming in after the original NXT, back when it was just a reality show. I could be mistaken, but I think he and Husky Harris, now known as Bray Wyatt, are the only ones from the original Nexus still active in the ring. He won many titles, including the World Heavyweight Championship. He lost that in record time, but 2 years later, he turned WrestleMania into Yes-Omania when he beat all of Evolution in one night to become only the second WWE World Champion since the WWE and World titles merged a few months before. Sadly, Bryan had to give up the title due to injury. Now the next year he'd win the Intercontinental title in a ladder match, only to lose that due to injury. And it was that injury that forced Bryan into what we all thought was his retirement. But he was still popular and people wanted to see him, so when the brand split again, he was brought back as general manager of SmackDown. He didn't hold the position for long, though. The doctors who told of his career-ending injury told him that they weren't career-ending at all and that he can return to active duty. And for the past 3 years, Bryan's taken that opportunity to the limit, winning the WWE title again and coming pretty close to the Universal title since the start of the year. But as we've seen last Friday, Daniel Bryan failed to grab the only title outside the 24/7 title that he had yet to grab. And because of Roman Reigns' surprisingly clean win, yeah, I'm a little surprised too, Bryan is off of SmackDown for good. Because, you know, that's how loser leaves town works in the WWE, right? You know, if I had a dime for every retirement match I've seen that actually ended in a wrestler's retirement forever, I would have, well, actually a few dimes, including when Ric Flair was put out to pasture. But for the most part, it was rarely forever. Even when the wrestler themselves said it's their farewell match, it usually wasn't. See Roddy Piper. But then again, maybe the 3 years almost non-stop has exasperated those injuries. Plus, now Danny has 2 children to be a father to, and he can't very well do that from UCF. Between saving a ton of money on travel this year due to the pandemic, and the residuals from Total Bellas, I'm sure the Danielsons, that's his real last name, have enough to give their children a comfortable life. And then again, you know, he has been making a number of comments that don't exactly fit into the mold of the WWE, or more accurately, into Vince McMahon's senile way of thinking. Like Bryan actually encouraged the WWE superstars to appear in other feds like TNA. He figures that since it seems to be working for AEW and Impact, maybe it'll work for the WWE. He wants there to be only one world champion in pro wrestling, while Vince would tell you that there is one, and it's the one that on Bobby Lashley's shoulder right now. Yeah, that kind of person is poison to a wrestler's career. One other thing to consider is that the stipulation said Bryan is off of SmackDown. Doesn't say anything about Raw. And with the new creative staff just announced, maybe Bryan would be the shot in the arm Raw needs to get out of the doldrums. So, I see one of 4 possible scenarios. 1. Daniel Bryan announces his full and total retirement from the ring and goes back to his wife and kids until the Hall of Fame comes calling for the class of 2022 or so. It's what he's been looking to do recently anyway, so why not make it official? 2. Daniel Bryan does stay on SmackDown, but as a special advisor to Cesaro, much like Paul Heyman is one to Roman Reigns. Bryan seems to have become Cesaro's biggest advocate over the last week since he felt that he lost the chance at the Universal title. Now he wants to win it vicariously through a man who has spent an equally long time in the WWE with no primary titles to show for it. 3. Daniel Bryan is released and a few weeks later shows up on another Fed's show like Impact, AEW, or TNA. They've all had a turn as pro wrestling's senior circuit over the years, where old WWE wrestlers go to reinvigorate or just end their careers. And I'm sure any of the above would gladly take Daniel Bryan. Whether he'd hold out for the right price is problematic to this scenario, but as Ted DiBiase has said, everybody's got a price. Finally, 4. Daniel Bryan is traded to Raw and gives it one more run at the WWE Championship before hanging up his boots for good. And like I said, that might be the adrenaline boost needed for a god-awful Raw program. Seems like nothing short of getting a full crowd back in the arena will save the longest running weekly episodic TV show in history, but with Daniel on it, taking on newer opponents, who knows? Honestly, I don't think we've seen the last of Daniel Bryan, even if his future isn't with the WWE. Guess only time will tell what exactly happens, but whatever happens, it's not like he doesn't deserve the recognition as one of the best sports entertainers around. Will we always remember Daniel Bryan? You already know. I'm Chris Wolvie, the Wrestling Vlog, who always tells it like it is. Stay safe, get your shots, and I'll see you.